Hello and welcome back to your self-compassion series. My name is Kat Herbinson and this is your self-compassion tip number 6. Today we're going to talk about feeling your feelings. I know, what is a therapist doing telling me to feel my feelings and thinking about that stuff? Really fascinating fun fact, bad feelings boomerang when banished. It's really a fun thought because it's alliterative and also it's true. Unfortunately, when we suppress thoughts and feelings, they come back more strongly. It's called the rebound effect. So research showed that when people were tested not thinking about, when they were told not to think about a white bear for 5 minutes and ring a bell every time they thought about a white bear, they rang the bell way more times than people who were not told not to think about the white bear, but rather just told to do the same activity, but ring a bell every time that they think about a white bear. So people who were told not to think the thing, thought the thing more, because it becomes something that when we're trying to suppress, grows stronger. So what does this mean for our emotions in this day and age? Unfortunately, in our society, we really do not condone feeling our feelings unless they're positive feelings. Men particularly, unfortunately, are socialized that they're only allowed to feel happy or angry. And women are allowed to feel happy or angry or sad. Rarely angry, actually. But in any case, the point being, there's a myriad of feelings beyond those 2 to 3 feelings that are kind of socially acceptable to feel or to express. And there's a tremendous amount of power in simply acknowledging a feeling. So this is what this has to do with self-compassion. When you acknowledge your feelings, you're reconnecting to your critical, emotional, intelligent self. Emotions are just messengers telling you that you have a need. So listening to them, just acknowledging the feeling, whether it's good, bad, ugly, otherwise, can be enough to lessen its power. Not that when you're feeling joyful, acknowledging that you feel joyful will make you feel less joyful, but rather for the negative when it comes to, knee-jerk reactions to suppress that feeling, to distract ourselves without acknowledging it, to try to just push it down. Those things don't go away. They just get pushed to a certain area of our subconscious, and they tend to cause a lot of havoc, a lot of turmoil. They can come out in irrational kinds of behaviors that aren't actually in alignment with our core values and who we are and who we believe ourselves to be. So acknowledging a feeling, like I'm feeling very frustrated in this moment, can be enough to take the sting off of it and to help you reconnect so that, yes, you recognize you're feeling your feelings more often and you're more in tune with them so that eventually you can build toward, what do I need here, to deal with this frustration, to manage this anger, to support myself through this disappointment. I also want to add that for neurodiverse people, like folks with ADHD, it's particularly important to be able to name our emotions and recognize them within ourselves, because our emotional regulation is already off. We tend to be more highly sensitive people in the sense that we feel our feelings in a very big and intense way practically all the time, unless we've done a lot of suppression to actually push them down and become more numb. And then again, that comes out in behavioral issues and thoughts and feelings that are less and less pleasant as they get magnified because they're being suppressed. So it's particularly dangerous for us to suppress our emotions, and particularly important for us to ensure that said suppression doesn't backfire by flipping the switch, acknowledging the feeling, and then moving into problem-solving mode if we have the capacity to do so in that moment. And if you don't have a lot of emotion words, you can increase your emotional vocabulary by doing a simple Google search. There's emotion wheels, which are colorful, which make me happy to look at. And I would recommend taking a look, because underneath kind of the core processes, like the core emotions, if you will. Like underneath anger, we've already talked about like frustration, disappointment, maybe irritation, annoyance. There's kind of different flavors of anger, like that can be more fine-tuned to how you actually feel, rather than just being like, I'm pissed or I'm mad, which you might be, and that's fine. You can get a little bit more specific. And if you recognize that actually you're disappointed, it's a little bit easier to address that emotion and what it's telling you that you need, as opposed to, yeah, I'm pissed and I don't know, this other person has to change their behavior, instead of acknowledging that maybe you can't control that other person. What can you control? Name your feeling, give yourself some compassion around it, and notice the difference. Enjoy.